Alright, and welcome back. I'm guessing you probably realized that I'm going to be playing Dawn of War Definitive Edition here. I was going back and forth about whether I was going to play this game, and ultimately I decided I would. Multiple people have asked me to go back and remake some of the Dawn of War series that I had originally uploaded. It was the second video, that series, that I uploaded after I finished Armageddon. My little crappy laptop that's, pushing 13, 14 years old now. And in fact, I'm finally going to have to get rid of it because it can't be upgraded to Windows 11. So a little sad about that, so I guess in honor of that we will play with these games here and see what the Definitive Edition offers to see if that's something you'd want to buy yourself. The big thing is if you have the original discs for the Dawn of War series like I did, you can actually convert those CD keys into electronic form and put it onto your Steam account, and then if you own this game when you go to buy it on Steam now, the Definitive Edition, I think it gives you like a 20 or 30% discount since you own the original game, and then if you get it on sale you can get it for an additional 10% off as well. So I think the cost for this game for me was like 17, 18 bucks, something like that. So I feel like that's definitely worth it since there's 4 games included in this. You get the original Dawn of War, you get Winter Assault, and then the 2 other expansion packs, Soulstorm, I think it was called, and then Dark Crusade. So the story is definitely best on the Dawn of War game. Winter Assault, I seem to remember, is a little bit of a shorter game. And then Dark Crusade and Soulstorm are pretty much just skirmish matches that you can do a campaign on to capture a world, and then you have story missions when you're attacking certain key locations or attacking enemy strongholds. So a little bit of a narrative campaign there, but nothing like it is on the first Dawn of War game. Now, unfortunately, I don't think they really ended the story very well with the Dawn of War, because I feel like it was a pretty compelling story back at the day. Now, I must say, for the opening cinematic on this game, I find that to be the most iconic Warhammer 40,000 cinematic, especially opening trailer, whatever you want to call it, for any Warhammer 40,000 game. I mean, when I was a teenager and that first came out, that was like the epitome of awesomeness. And it still hits pretty hard nowadays, but again, I might be somewhat biased with my nostalgia here, but I'd still to this day think of that as being the quintessential opening campaign here, or opening cinematic, I mean. So I'm going to go through this. I'll play it on the hardest difficulty. I'll go through Winter Assault, play that on the hardest difficulty, and maybe do a few campaigns in Dark Crusade and Soulstorm as well. Yeah, certainly if you want me to go back and redo every faction, I certainly can. On those last 2 DLCs, I think those get to be a little bit redundant, but it may be interesting to see how the different factions play as things have changed and the balancing occurred throughout the different games. So let me know if there's much interest in that. I'm also willing to do some multiplayer matches on this game too, so if that's something people would be interested in, let me know. I know there's at least one person that's been messaging me on YouTube that wants me to do some multiplayer, so I think I got to get a little bit of practice and refresh my memory, knock the cobwebs off on kind of the mechanics of these factions before I jump into the multiplayer, since I'm a little bit behind the 8 ball compared to everybody else that's been playing this game now for several months before I got to it. But wanted to finish up a couple other series that I had been working on, so that should hopefully make it worthwhile here. So the cinematics and stories for Dawn of War are all voice acted. The balancing really hasn't been changed with the Definitive Edition. It's mostly a cosmetic upgrade, and then I think they also made some quality of life changes just to some basic game mechanics. But in terms of balancing and things, my understanding is that the releasers of this game do not want to make any changes really to the core mechanics, just some quality of life updates for RTS games, since there's been quite a bit of changes. Now, even back when this game was released, I thought it had some pretty decent quality of life issues, like you could right click on certain reinforcement icons or construction to get unlimited production queues, and that's something that a lot of RTS even to this day don't do, so that can be kind of frustrating that this game was so ahead of its time. The big thing here is... So it'll reset it up, okay? And then we will go to the insane difficulty, because just like every game, we are going to be playing it on the hardest setting here. And we will get started and see what we can do. I seem to remember that this was voice acted, so let's see how it goes. And the big thing is on these loading screens, they were also pretty creative because it'll show you the differences between the planet and the different factions every loading screen, so you kind of get an idea of what's going on system-wide.
Hold the line! In the name of the Emperor, you will not falter! We can't hold! Run for your lives! Cowards! You will fight, or you will die.
I am Captain Gabriel Angelos of the Blood Raven's 3rd Company. Status.
My lord, forgive me. We have done all we can to stop the orcs, but we have failed. My men's lives are yours.
You stood your ground in the face of the Emperor's foes. You've done your duty. If your men have failed you, I will leave their judgment in your hands.
Thank you, my lord.
I am not here for your thanks. This port must be held if we are to maintain troops and supply lines to the planet's surface. That is why we are here. Now, what of the wounded and the civilians?
Stranded. We have few ships.
Then you shall have more. All Blood Raven flights execute Protocol 23 and initiate civilian evacuation. We will dispatch the ground forces.
Yes, my lord.
Ground forces, my lord, but the orcs have retreated.
You must know your enemy to defeat them, Colonel. Orcs only retreat to regroup. They will keep coming until you, or they, are dead. Brothers, let us destroy this alien filth! What a glorious day for a battle. As the stronghold, our frontline battle headquarters is currently being assembled. We should proceed with caution until it is finished. We must start capturing strategic points. These 3 closest strategic points will do for now. Let us capture them first, and then move on to the others.
Yes, Lord.
Splendid. The stronghold is complete. We must now set about establishing a proper frontline base. Beware the alien, the mutant, the heretic.
Alright, so you capture these requisition points, and that'll give you the blue resource. And then later you can build some power plants, which will give you energy, which is the green resource.
That will allow us to call down more Space Marine squads.
Fear denies space.
And then you build listening posts on top of the requisition points to hold it, so enemy infantry can't capture it back. And it also increases the requisition generation that you get here. And then in this game, your heroes are immortal, so they'll die and then they'll just respawn for free.
We will need to call in some special weapons. We must build an armory to get access to them, brother.
So it's cost effective to have your heroes in the campaign here tank a lot of the damage, since it's effectively just free bullet sponges that you're getting access to, and they just keep spawning back at your main HQ here.
Heresy grows from idleness.
Now, kind of interesting, I mean, it definitely looks like it's been cleaned up a little bit compared to the original game, and the biggest thing I noticed is the screen, the camera isn't zoomed in as much as it was on the original game.
Captured several strategic points. Capturing strategic points and building listening posts on them earns us more requisition resource, which we can use when we build squads and equipment.
The Emperor's chosen.
So those double plus signs are reinforcement. Cost resources and possibly energy depending on which unit you're building to reinforce a squad, and they can reinforce on at any location on the map. You just pay the resources and they warp in like you're seeing.
The point is now protected from an orc retaliation. We should continue to build listening posts on all our captured points.
And that's how it works for any faction. It's not just, that's not like a unique mechanic to the Space Marines here.
This day shall be a glorious one. It is time to hunt down the source of these orcs. They must have a base somewhere within the walls of this imperial facility. This day shall be a glorious one for the Imperium.
Alright, so these are Gretchen. They're like bullet sponges for the orcs, and they're actually their builder units too. That ability allows you to double the amount of heavy weapons your tactical squads can carry.
Understood.
We'll just kind of run around here because somewhere on the map there's random guardsmen around that you have to save for your secondary objective.
Attack! Building a plasma generator will supply us with the power we need to keep our force going. By my command. Attack!
So we'll play around with different weapons here. I'm getting kind of a mix of flamers and heavy
Generators will
bolters.
continue to produce power at a constant rate, but there is a limit of how many plasma generators can be built per stronghold.
The heavy bolters are good at killing infantry, and the flamers are good at destroying morale. So you can see those little red flashing icons. That means the morale has been broken of that squad, and that drops their combat effectiveness pretty precipitously. Now, one thing that's a little bit annoying in this game is the units when they're attacking. Whoever has the first attack is when the unit, if you do an attack move, the squad will then stop moving. So it's not infrequent, you know, with your heavy bolters having such long range that then your 6 other guys from your squad, or the 4 guys from the squad, if you're having 4 of the heavy bolters after you've upgraded, won't be shooting because they're out of range. So that drops the DPS of your squad depending on the situation, so that can be a little bit frustrating. But your Space Marines here are, you know, little beefy cakes here. I think they're considered heavy infantry, and they can be equipped with different weapon types here. You know, you can see that they're flamers, heavy bolter, and then later we'll get access to plasma guns and rocket launchers. Obviously the plasma is good against heavy infantry, and then the rockets are meant for killing vehicles and buildings.
An orc camp. We must destroy this orc camp and any others these foul creatures may have constructed.
But this effectively allows our low-tier infantry to have staying power throughout the whole game here because of the different weapon loadouts that you're able to get these guys. And then they get tons of upgrades too to increase their damage and also to increase their HP. So they're just all around some of the best infantry units in the game. So they definitely feel like elite playing faction, and that's how they should be. So you can see here the bolters are outranging the flamers. So now the flamers don't have good damage, and unfortunately they don't do bonus damage to buildings. I always thought they should. And in fact, in the later Dawn of War series, that is actually how it functions.
I shall not die on this day.
Dawn of War 2. I don't think it gives bonus damage on any of the DLC for Dawn of War 1. And there is a cover system, as you can see here. It's not like a traditional cover system where you'd like run up onto the obstacles and hide behind it. It's literally like craters.
Here come the Space Marines!
Craters and other sort of, like if there's tall grass or something, it'll be like a light or a heavy cover. But that's what those shield icons are above the models. It's just telling you that they're in heavy cover. So they take reduced range damage. And it can be pretty substantial at times. So definitely something to consider. But you can see the guardsmen there that are almost been taken out. So those are guys I'm trying to save.
Yes, most beneficent one. With all due haste, I await your instructions.
Beware the alien, the mutant.
Now, I originally remember the Flamers not being particularly good. I don't know if that'll be different in the multiplayer or not, but I remember for the campaign it wasn't particularly, I was never impressed with them. But since it's been so many years since I played this game, I figure I should play around with the different loadouts just to make sure my memories are correct here.
My aim shall not falter.
I await your instructions.
My faith is my shield.
Ever vigilant. Weapons at ready. It is time. None shall stop us.
Yeah, the other thing that's kind of weird about this game is when you disrupt units and like throw them to the ground, they don't take damage anymore. And when they all get thrown to the ground, like you saw, it's like the AI, the game doesn't realize that they're still targets. So then your units that have to set up, they'll actually start moving, thinking there's no longer any targets, and then they have to reset up once the guys get up, and you can get stuck into these perpetual cycles where it's like you're getting one attack off, it disrupts the unit, then you stop doing damage to them, so it drags out the kill really long. And then there's also battle animations with killing strikes, and while that battle animation is going off, the models that are involved do not take any more damage. So you have to be very careful when you're fighting super elite units, or playing with this commander here, that once those animations happen, you can effectively make a unit invincible, and you can use that to really farm the survival of walkers in this game. That's one of the reasons they're so powerful. For us, it'll be dreadnoughts, but if you're fighting infantry, you'll just continually trigger those killing cinematic moves, and that will allow you to keep them alive even while they're getting shot, because if they're being hit by anti-vehicle weapons and things like that while that cinematic's going off, then it effectively does nothing to the vehicle, so it's just like wasted attacks.
Awaiting orders.
The Emperor protects.
Faith is our shield.
So I think that was always a controversial situation here.
Taking damage.
And then all units in this game, I think, have either a ranged or a melee attack. So you could kind of see the fist icon there was the melee damage, and then the little bullet or the gun icon is the range damage. The 2+ signs are the not population cap, but the squad cap. And then the green bar obviously is the HP, and then the blue bar is the morale. And then if you see below the picture, you can see if your guys are getting any sort of buffs or not. So like those guys aren't, but if I were to select the guys with the shields, you'd see some little blue shields there letting you know that they're getting cover bonus.
Fear denies faith. Fear denies faith.
Praise the Emperor.
Defending
My aim
objective.
shall not falter.
Faith is our shield.
Alright, get those guys over there.
Initializing build protocol.
Now, normally you can build a lot more units than what I have right here. It's just, this being a tutorial mission effectively, it's not giving me access to the full vehicle and infantry population cap. So the one in the upper right hand corner there that's flashing 10 out of 10, that's my infantry cap, and then below it is the vehicle cap. And for the Space Marines, their way of increasing their population is by actually spending money at your stronghold here. It'll give you an icon with either some troops. See, that's the death animation there. So you just killed my commander, but because even though he was getting shot and he should have died, while that animation was going off, it didn't do any damage to him. So that's why he was soaking up all that fire before that happened. And now the force commander has now been spawned in for free at our city, so that worked out much better. Now with us, we're getting stuck into a shooting war here with these shooter boys here, so you'll probably see that I'm going to be taking quite a bit of damage here, because these guys are all they're meant to be infantry killers, and that's what we're fighting with. So as you can see here, they're almost squad wiping our tactical marines here. And if I would have had the force commander, he would have been able to tank a lot of those hits a lot better, because he's just a much tougher unit. So like I said, using those guys as free damage sponges works very well. Now again, on the map like this where we're just swimming in resources, because it's not particularly challenging, it doesn't matter, but you want to be somewhat cognizant of what you're doing with your resources. That way you're not dragging out the gameplay unnecessarily, because one of my criticisms of this game is it is somewhat slow paced. Now I suspect on multiplayer it's probably going to be much quicker, but for the campaign itself, I do find at times it kind of lags a little bit. So I am increasing the game speed by about 30%. So if you've been playing this game and you're wondering why my units are moving faster than yours, it's because I use a program called Cheat Engine, which you can use to speed up gameplay.
Reporting for duty, sir. My faith is my shield.
Because it effectively hacks the coding of the game here. Now it does increase some instability. Now I haven't had any crashes yet, but we'll see how it goes. I mean, I'm still on the first mission, for God's sake, but it should make it much better, because I seem to remember there being times on the campaign, and I don't remember if it was on Dawn of War or if it was the expansions, where I'd literally just set up a defensive line and then go get something to eat and just have to wait for the resources to accrue. I seem to think that that was on Dark Crusade and Soulstorm more, when you were fighting some of the strongholds, because you'd be limited by the amount of resource sites. But either way, it still makes things go quite a bit faster here. And now we saved all the defense forces, and now we just have to secure the port, which means we have to capture all the strategic command points. So that means we want to come down this right side here first instead of the left side. That way we can capture that strategic point before we attack the Orca base, which will be up here inevitably, since we're at the end of the map. So that's got to be where the base is.
The enemy is attacking.
Yep, and we've done every other objective here, so like I said, on this playthrough, we are going to complete every primary and secondary objective per our standard on the hardest difficulty.
My aim shall not falter. We are taking damage.
Fear denies faith. We will crush the enemies of the Imperium.
Now, the other thing I should mention is with those discounts that I talked about at the introduction, I found with all those things stacking, it actually made this the cost on Steam be competitive with the third-party key sites. Now, that's only considering the United States. I didn't look at other countries since I'm only out of the United States, but that definitely made it easier, because sometimes what I'll do is I'll just use third-party CD key sites to get a better discount on the game. But here, like I said, it was pretty competitive, so it's just easier if you have everything already on Steam, just to get it on Steam, and then you don't have to worry about any of those third-party sites. But saying that, as time goes by, the cost of the game will continue to drop. It's still pretty high cost right now. But again, you have to remember that for the one-time purchase, you're getting 4 different games for that amount. So that means, since I think it cost me $18 or something like that, that means I effectively got 4 different games that have been updated for, you know, less than $5 each. So I feel like that's a pretty good deal.
Await your instructions.
Mission fear denies faith. Commencing attack.
We'll see what my thoughts are by the time I finish this, but you know, I think it's fortuitous, because, like I said, people were requesting that I go back and remake some of these series, since on the original game itself, it was so zoomed in that it really messed up a lot of the recording qualities, and that was actually probably one of the biggest changes that happened with the definitive editions. It allows you to play at other windowed sizes that are more up to modern specs here. Now, a lot of these guys are just being summoned in indefinitely from these boys' huts here, which are the equivalent of the chapel barracks. And as you can tell with all the orcs, all their buildings have turrets on top of it. So when you're attacking them with infantry, you're just continually getting shot up, which does not feel great. Now, if you have your commander here, he can just tank those shots like nobody's business. Now, I typically recommend that you don't do like a mixed weapons package here like what I'm doing. I find that just having a tactical squad focus on a single weapon type tends to be the best. Oh shit, I probably should have had this tank up here. I actually forgot that I had it while I'm sitting here talking, because the tank will probably be much better at taking out buildings.
We are the Emperor's chosen. Direct us to the enemy.
Now, early on in the game here, yeah, see, it's already taken out one of those turrets, so I should have had this up here way sooner. Early in the game here, these tanks, whether it be the looted Leman Russes or the regular Leman Russ here, it's more like an artillery tank, so it has a lot of indirect fire because it has very poor accuracy, as you can tell. But later on, with different changes, that's no longer how those weapons and units function.
Victory is ours.
So with that, oh yeah, there's an ending cinematic on all these missions too. Or maybe cutscene's a better
I'm honored to be in the presence
term.
of the librarian. I wish to know how my men can better serve you. We shall wait for the captain to finish his prayers. I saw you stand against the orcs. You are a brave man, Colonel. I wish I could say the same of your men. I shall strengthen their resolve, my lord.
See that you do, or we shall do it for you. You have something you wish to say. Say it, Colonel.
How did you know?
Even without my psychic gifts, it is obvious. Speak.
Is it true your company eradicated a heresy on the planet of Cyrene recently? An exterminatus, down to the planet's last man, woman and child.
Colonel, your company is welcome, but such questions are not. Do not ask the captain about Cyrene if you intend to remain in his good graces. Brother Captain, the Colonel wishes an audience with you.
Thank you, Isidore.
My lord, my Tartarus 37th Imperial Guard Regiment stand ready to serve you in protecting the city. They wish to make amends for...
They will have many opportunities to prove themselves warriors worthy of the Emperor. The Blood Ravens are leaving the city. Its protection is in your hands.
I will ready my men. May I ask what your next course of action is?
Orcs only respect strength. I intend to show them that we have it in ample supply.
All right, and with that, we will bring this mission to a close. I hope you're enjoying these videos. I definitely feel like the graphics have been improved. I think the Colonel actually looks the best out of everybody. The Space Marines seem like they've got tiny little legs, so it looks like they got to hit the squat racks a little bit. I think it's because their leg armor is so big, but it makes them look like they have little stick legs, and their freaking arms are just as thick as their legs, so it just makes them look a little dysmorphic here. And then they still have their traditional fish mouth cinematic going when they're talking, so that was very common back when this game was released. So I'm going to call it quits here for the day. I hope you're enjoying these videos. If you are, please give my channel a like and subscribe to encourage me to post more content for you. Have a great day.